I think when you're young and you're in business, you just think you're invincible. And you're
Bulletproof.
like, dude, I can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you've probably
Humility.
seen a little bit of that where
I have.
you're doing too many things.
Mhm.
And then you look back and you're like, God, I was really good at this. If I had just stayed on track and done this one thing and then went like this and branched out instead of going like this, thinking you can
Went
do
too
everything.
wide.
It's like, God, yeah. But that's definitely something that sticks with us. But yeah, to go back to your question, what we did is we went to landlords and we said, hey, we're bleeding, this store's been closed. It's bleeding out. We have some PPP money, right? And I can offer you 3 months of rent. Otherwise, we're just going to have to shut up shop. And I don't know if you're going to be able to get anything. And almost all of them came back and was like, I'll take the 3 months, of rent, which was nothing for a buyout.
Yep.
And so we actually, not only did we get a huge boost because of COVID, and PPP obviously supplied us with the cash from the missed revenue, it gave us a great opportunity to take advantage of that and kind of, I guess, short up the portfolio and kind of get rid of some of the low performers.
So, on our little oil and gas company that our family has out in West Texas, we were a smaller operation, gross revenue of $4 or $5 million, had 20 something employees, but we got $500,000 worth of PPP money. And that really helped us bridge that gap, mostly just to make sure that the men and women were paid through that,
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think even for us, the PPP was used for the right purpose. We kept our employees on, right?
Yep.
And not only was it the best thing to do, I mean, obviously for the employees, keeping everybody on, because that's what you got PPP money for. But it was the right thing for our business too, for sure, long term. Because if, our employees are everything to us, so.
And y'all do you still have your, I'm going to call them a retreat, but your leadership retreats that y'all would have where you get the crew and, post-COVID, because I know you did it every year, maybe twice a year, I can't remember, but leading up to COVID, are y'all still doing those where you have the big powwows with the, leadership meetings?
So we have, we're having one this year. It'll be the first one in 4 years. Obviously in 2020, it got canceled from COVID.
Was that a hazing incident, or should we talk about that?
We got kicked off campus.
Was that the incident?
And then in 21, we had one scheduled, and I believe what happened? There was it was scheduled, flights were booked, everybody was coming, and there was an incident in the office, and it spooked some leadership that we have, and we pared it down to just our district managers. And then last year, we had a rough start to the year and pulled it as a consequence for everyone. So, but this year it's back on and trying to.
Well, that has to be pretty exciting, because I know that was a big part of y'all's model was the camaraderie.
Yeah.
With your managers and even, all the way down to the person that was just hired the day before, right? And going back to what I think you had mentioned, Cody, when you have an entry-level employee who's coming in and, they're hourly and, maybe they're not making as much as what some of the others are, but they get the opportunity to see that they're part of a great organization that's going to train you up to where, hey, if you ever wanted to open up your own store, your own brand, you are going to be their biggest cheerleader. Like, you want to see them be super successful. And you have some of your employees that became managers that also became, co-owners in some stores, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you guys don't, there's no glass ceiling with your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some nuance in there, but not worth going down the rabbit hole. But yeah, so these these retreats are just going back to where we put our locations. Our stores aren't super close to each other, so you can start to feel like you're on an island. And so these bring everybody together. Everybody gets to share best practices, have some fun. Usually someone gets overly drunk and gets fired, but that's all right.
And that's why y'all are on the corporate side.
Nobody gets fired.
Well, you get a lot of, hey, let's call it what it is. You get a lot of, there are a lot of men in your world, not as many women.
Yep.
And you get a group of guys together that have high levels of testosterone, that are guys that are in the gym every day, taking care of themselves. They're pumped, they're jacked, they're salesmen, they're competitive. You get them in that environment, and then you get a little suds and, the guys, then you get some wrestling matches. I mean, that's ultimately what ends up happening, right?
A quick note: there is women, but like they are far superior than the men in our company. Like the
Smart
women
man to
are
say that.
are
Very smart,
very
yeah.
savage, like because they have to exist in this environment, and they are killers. Yeah. So and then we're bringing back a similar opportunity that you mentioned, where like removing that glass ceiling, and we're bringing back like an official franchise opportunity, and it's really catered to our employees. So we're trying to create that. Hey, like it's retail. It's not this huge opportunity financially initially, but if you put your head down, you work your ass off, like you can then move on and own your own store. And I think part of our story that's really unique is like our working in the stores, how critical it was to understand the customer beyond working in the stores. So I'm super fired up to one, have the retreat, but two, offer that kind of next step for people that come here, put their head down, bust their ass. And then have that opportunity to go change their life, essentially.
So forward looking, what I'm hearing y'all say is that your model is you're going to have corporate owned stores like what you have now, but then look to expand to where you have franchisees that have, a little skin in the game, where they're on the line for the lease and they're on the hook for product that they're purchasing from the parent company. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And then what you're doing in turn, obviously you're providing the product, but you're providing a model, for them as well, a model of success, right?
Yeah. So it'll be focused on initially testing and rolling out to our employees as like their next step. Like not every great manager is meant to be a district manager. And so we want to create that pathway for them to come here, bust their ass, do well for the corporate stores, and then earn that opportunity to go, change their life financially and own their own business. And the only way we could do that at this scale was through an official franchise program. So I don't know what yard line we're on, but we're close, marching down the field to make that official.
Yeah.
And so, were you about to say something, Charlie?
Yeah, the way that the company used to run is we essentially would partner with like employees, and we would give them sweat equity to move all over the country. So that was kind of I would say, iteration 2 of our business. And we had stores and ownership structures and business partners everywhere. And in 2018, the three of us, or 17 really, came together, and, it was Brian initially just kind of led this and was like, guys, like we're all running our own organizations. I had stores with Brian and Cody had stores, and Brian had stores with his brother, and I had stores with employees, and Brian had stores with employees. And it was just this massive,
fragmented.
And so, but I will say, my point was, then you had this carrot that everybody was working towards, right? And everybody would be like, God, I want to be a partner, right? And so you had that carrot. And then when we consolidated in 18, it was probably the best decision we ever had, because we needed to, everybody's running their own everything, right? And so we consolidated and really created an HQ and all that, the other stuff that we needed. But we lost the carrot, right? Which was like, all corporate owned stores. And, yes, there was the growth to be a district manager, and, but we lost that carrot. And I think we're gaining that back now to say that we're going to give these employees the opportunity to work towards something. And so I think, Cody just, obviously has been running most of the 5-star stuff, but he really cares about his people. And I think this is something he's super excited about. And we're all excited about, to give these folks the opportunity to have, eliminate that ceiling, essentially. Right.
Well, in 5-star and Defined, you have your own branding now, right? You have your own products, you have your own SKUs. Is that correct?
We've had that for a while.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 brands, 60 plus products, 150 SKUs, Amazon presence, e-com. Cody now handles the distribution. So we sell to a few hundred other retail stores that can sell our brands as well.
Okay.
So
the best of which are mostly our former employees.
Yeah,
is that right?
Because they follow the model.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to
Shadow
say.
franchisees.
They go start their own shops, and they know how you guys operate. They know that you operate with integrity and you're priced right. And and again, that goes back to taking care of your family, your extended family, right? Your team members with your organization. But I know that, through COVID, and I don't know when it was that you really started to see that sharp spike on your online sales, on your e-commerce, especially Amazon. One of you guys touch on that. How's that been for y'all?
I would say it spiked and then normalized. I think it was just people transitioning to buying online. And then as things started to clear up, it started to wind its way back to like a slightly elevated from prior COVID, but nothing crazy like right after. And most of what we've been reading or seeing in the news is similar.
that there was a spike for a lot of folks, and then people want to get back out, and then they start normalizing their lives. And I mean, Amazon makes life, pretty easy. You order it, and the next day it's on your doorstep, and that's the model that a lot of people are looking at to build businesses. For y'all, do you see that expanding even more? Has it flattened out? And where's that curve for y'all? If I look up a year to 5 years from now.
It's hard to look 5 years from now ever. Like when we
Mm-hmm.
sign leases, it's like, well, what were we doing 5 years ago? Like, shit, dude, totally different stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like the way our model works is we're kind of retail first. We've tried other avenues, and like what we know is retail. And so we treat our online presence as kind of a catch-all for what we put into the market through our stores. We want our customers to be able to buy when, where, and whatever they want from us. And so that may be on Amazon. So if we're moving a lot of our brands to our stores, and we also own the Amazon pages, like they're going to buy from us just in a different way. So as long as we continue to expand our footprint and our distribution through our corporate stores, our franchisees, our wholesale channel, get the market out or the product into the market, like we own all of our e-commerce Amazon presence, so they'll come back and repurchase from us there. And there's some things we do to try to incent like subscriptions and grow those types of revenue channels within the e-commerce. But we do the math all the time, and we put 15-mile radiuses around our stores. We put some around our wholesale customer stores to see if there's similar buying behaviors, and most of our e-com business comes from 15 miles around a 5-star nutrition.
Okay. And that's even and that's with sticks and bricks and or mortar locations. And I just think that with where online and retail e-commerce sales are going, I just that's obviously a part of your model that you have now. And to your point, 10 years ago you didn't have that as part of your model. So then you look forward and you say, well, 5 years from now there might be an opportunity that we're not even thinking of.
Right.